Hello loves, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about spiritual colognes and how to use them when it comes to doing like some attraction work, but specifically when you are trying to incorporate attraction into your hexes, your jinxes, those kind of things. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Before we get started though, I'm currently having a special on all of my services. You can use the code HEALING30 for 30% off, in all caps, for 30% off all of my services. It ends on Sunday, so definitely make sure you take advantage of it if you would like a reading or a session or whatnot. Also, we are still going to Egypt, okay? So definitely make sure that you book your spot, reserve your spot. There's still early bird specials like left for those who are going to want the $200 off your booking. Also, because you guys know we're doing a lot, don't forget that we are having our soul journey ceremony workshop where we're just going to dive in and do a lot of soul work. That's going to be on the 26th, so definitely make sure you get your tickets on Eventbrite as well. With that being said, we're going to jump in and get started. So when it comes to spiritual colognes and fragrance in general can be used for this type of work. And this is going to be a little bit on the advanced side because you're combining two different practices. When it comes to fragrances, we're talking glamour magic, okay? And there's different ways to use glamour magic for different things, and they do different things. So you have to kind of understand what you're working with, why you're working with it, what the spiritual properties of them are, and why you're using it the way you're using it. So first and foremost, when it comes to fragrances, spiritual colognes, or just fragrances period, obviously we use fragrances to enhance our aura, our auric field. It changes. Every time I'm trying to explain like fragrances and how scents work spiritually, I want you to think of nature. Okay, I want you to think of animals. Okay, what happens in nature? The nose becomes a very important sense, like that is used in order to track, in order to find, in order to understand like where certain things are, where certain things are coming from. Different scents that you smell in nature can potentially, bring you to a dinner, okay? It can lead you to a predator. You might like smell certain things, or you smell blood, or you might smell flowers or something that maybe it's medicinal or that you can eat. There's so many different ways where nature, through scents, where it draws you in, especially with animals. So when it comes to scents, it's very highly connected to hunting. So I want you to think of your own personal scents, your own personal essence. When you are just out in the world, let's say you don't have anything on, you do have your own personal scent that your body just naturally exudes, right? When you're trying to amplify that scent to attract more to you, whether it's through spiritual cologne or a fragrance, that's what spiritual colognes and fragrance does. They can help to attract and enhance your essence. Even when it's like, for example, with Florida water, you can use Florida water and we know, Florida water is amazing for cleansings, removing negative energy. It's also really great for amplifying and to, remove any kind of like debris, and but to also kind of add this, enhance your spirit when it comes to what it is that you're trying to magnetize. It also helps within the body to help your spirit kind of ease its way through and help release things out of you and out of your auric field. So when it comes to fragrances, I want you to think of, and especially when it comes to glamour magic, I want you to think of it as like, okay, if I want it to be hunted, but obviously, not in and if you're doing like love magic, obviously when you're trying to attract, is giving very much I want to be hunted energy. Like I want to bring in who I want to bring in, or what I want to bring in, or whatever it is. I'm trying to draw in a very particular thing, right? So I want you to think of your fragrances as doing that. Okay, they're enhancing what it is that you're trying to bring and draw into you. One of the things that I highly recommend y'all do, if you haven't done it yet, and if you're trying to start getting into your glamour magic practice is that, for the love of God, please go through all of the fragrances that you own. Go on fragrantica.com, which is basically like a Wikipedia for fragrances. They have all the notes there. They have like when it came out, the year, all of that kind of stuff there. They have the notes there for the fragrances because it is kind of like a fragrance dictionary place that particular fragrance has. So even if it's just like a special edition of that fragrance, they'll have it there and they'll tell you, oh, this is what the notes are for that fragrance. So even if like the website of the company doesn't sell it anymore, doesn't have it on their page, but you have it, you can still find the notes on that website. That's why I love it so much. I've been on that website for so many years, especially once I started my fragrance collection. I literally just been on that website for so many years, and it's just such a great resource for like the notes and also to get reviews and all that kind of jazz. But when it comes to fragrances, go and look at the notes. Look at what is used to make these types of fragrances. It's important for you to know what you're wearing so that way you can work with, you know, the notes as well. My signature fragrance is Chanel Mademoiselle. That is my signature fragrance. It just is. It's classy, but it's sexy, but it like, it's powdery, it has floral. It's just everything that I need as a Capricorn in a fragrance for me to exude and enhance my personality. It's also, it works daytime to night as well, so I really love it. It's my favorite, period. And so we're looking, when I was working with the notes, like spiritually, it has patchouli in there, and I love patchouli. Patchouli is amazing for money. It's amazing for prosperity, wealth, and so because that fragrance, it gives very like work tonight, day to night, working, and then you go out at night, kind of like, it's a very well-rounded fragrance from day to night, and this is why I love it so much. I like to activate the specific like essences that are used, the specific flower essences that are used to make the scent for those particular things. And so when you have like a fragrance that's made with different notes, different levels of it, I like to activate the different levels as they're released for different things all of the time. This is what I mean by make sure you're doing the research on the things that you are using for your practice, especially when it comes to fragrance, because when you're adding it to your auric field, you're going to be drawing in and attracting different things, right? So it's important for you to know what you're doing with these on a deeper level, because I feel like sometimes people talk about spirituality in a very light way, but they don't dive in deep enough. And so this is why in this channel, as you guys have noticed, like, we dive deeper into the topics. I want you guys to understand why we do what we do, understand why 2 + 2 = 4, not that 4 exists. Okay, I want you to know why it exists. And so when we dive into these fragrances, dive in a little bit deeper, understand why, like, for example, it's kind of like cooking. Understand why you're putting the ingredients together that you're putting, because it makes the meal taste great, but why those ingredients? Why? Okay, what do they add? How does it change the plate? If you leave one ingredient out, how is it going to be different, right? It's kind of like that, especially with like these fragrances. So when it comes to your auric field, you are adding these fragrances, and you need to make sure that you know how it's impacting your auric field. Now, something like this, where it's literally just rose, like this is just a rose scent, like there's nothing, there's no other notes for this, like I'm spraying it and it's just rose. Something like this is going to have the properties, the spiritual properties of roses. And so you already know that if you pick up this as a spiritual cologne, or even if you just use it as a cologne, as a fragrance, it's going to have like the properties of roses. So it's going to be like that love, self-love, lust. So if you wanted to attract, like, let's say you're going out at night, sometimes I will layer my my going out night fragrance, which is the Carolina Herrera Good Girl fragrance. It's that one. That's my night fragrance when I'm going out, but sometimes I'll add on top, I'll layer it with the roses, just to, like, if I'm having a nice date night with babe, just to enhance what's already there. To enhance the auric feel. So I'm feeling good, the self-love is good, I'm feeling empowered, I'm feeling like sultry. You want to work with your fragrances in a way that makes sense, and that it just feels very smooth. It feels very like effortless kind of way. You are, when it comes to working with your auric field and making sure your auric field is like up, like healthy and clear, and like there's no energetic debris. Like fragrances can really help to, you know, this is one of the reasons why you when you put on a fragrance, even if you're feeling sad, you could be feeling bad, you could be feeling sad, you could be feeling like unmotivated, if you put on a fragrance, it literally will, all of a sudden you're like, you know what, it's almost like getting your nails done. You know when you get your nails done and all of a sudden you want to just like be grabbing stuff and you want to do like, it just makes you want to click clack and just do a whole bunch of stuff. It's kind of like that. Like putting on a fragrance can really help, not only with your motivation, but also can make you feel good enough to do things that you need to do. So you can work with fragrances to, like, not just when it comes to attraction, but also when it comes to doing hexes, jinxes, motivation work, and like when it comes to doing energy work as well. If you are having like some, like if you're like stuck in a slump, if you're stuck in like if you're just feeling stuck, if you're feeling, even if you're feeling like your roads are blocked too, working with fragrances can really help you kind of come out of some darker shadows, because you're tapping into like these essences and these kind of like, it's like you're yearning for something else. You're pulling yourself out of whatever energetic debris you're in, and you're putting yourself into like this rose, this like, you know what, I feel really like I just want to go outside today, or I just want to read a book, or I just want to do X, Y, Z, and B. Like it just feels like I need, you know, like it helps you to dream a little bit, which is why glamour magic is part of Pisces and Neptunian energy, and they rule spirituality. So and glamour magic. So it all comes back. It's all a circle. Now when it comes to using these in hexes, once you get comfortable using them for your benefit, when it comes to your attracting, whether it's money or whether it's an opportunity, whether it's a date, whether it's friendships, whether it's, you know, whatever it is that you want to attract, okay, when it comes to using them for hexes and jinxes, specifically, I love using them for jinxes too. But sometimes you can enchant different like spiritual colognes and even fragrances to like draw in, like let's say you're trying to figure out who's been like sending you the evil eye, or like let's say you have a group of friends and like you really like care for them and stuff, but for some reason there might be one that you just having a weird vibe about, or somebody's sending you the evil eye, or you're doing a reading and you're getting like this weird kind of energy. You can do this like bait and switch spell work with your fragrances to attract and draw in enemies, for you to see who they are, especially if they try to hide in the shadows. You could do it with fragrances because fragrances are naturally going to be attractive. You can also use them for protection as well. By the way, it depends on the one that you're using. You can use fragrances for grounding as well. I like to use sandalwood one that I have for that as well. Really amazing for grounding work. But it's very layered. You don't just have to use it for attraction. You can also use it for like, okay, yeah, look, I'm gonna do it maybe like a little combo of 1-in-1 and just attract this person who's my enemy. Or even at work, like let's say somebody's being like a frenemy, like somebody's trying to like get on your kind of good side to see what you're doing so they can kind of talk shit about you to like your boss or whatever. Like figuring out who's kind of on your side, you can kind of attract them to you. You can also when you're putting on the fragrance and you're spraying it on you can set the spell that, you know, whoever is really drawn into this particular scent, let them come to me. Like whoever has ill intention towards me, let them be visible, let me draw them in, and so let me see them clearly for what they are. You can literally write those intentions as you are kind of working with your auric field. You could do it energetically where you're just closing your eyes as you're spraying it, and as it's like coming on your body, you can set the intention of it. You can obviously rub it in your hands and like put it on specific spots, especially if you're the type of person that does the like the kisses and stuff like that, especially at work, or if you hug people at work and stuff like that and they're catching a whiff of it. You can kind of add little things in there. When it comes to using them for like jinxes, like somebody gets hit with something, you can do a spell work where you're drawing somebody in, and then if they have ill intent towards you, it's like it kicks back and they get hit for even having that ill intent towards you and being near your vicinity. For that, you want to work with your auric field, where obviously think of it as like 6 feet, like think think COVID, 6 feet all around you. So anybody that comes within your 6 feet proximity, if they have ill intent towards you and they're feeling very comfortable and bold being that close to you, you can also use fragrances to, again, you're putting the spray in, so even if you're like trying to draw them in a little bit so they get hit with the jinx, you can add a layer of that like jinx, whether you're working with an oil, whether you're working with, like, you can do it in so many different ways, whether you want to do it with a petition. You can also have a charm or some sort of like bracelet, or I would do it kind of like as a charm or like a little bag. I will have a petition in there with some herbs, some oil. I will have it on my body, so it's like when they're coming in near, I'll have the fragrance on. They'll be coming in near, but I'll have the jinx on me for it to hit whoever it's supposed to hit. So yeah, that's some of the ways that you can use your fragrances, and like, not just the basic ways. There's so many ways to use fragrances and spiritual colognes within your practice and within glamour magic. Don't limit yourself, don't limit your perspective. Amazing tools. But yeah, I'm gonna close this video off because you know your girl can talk. I love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to do all the things. If you're new here, don't forget to check out the Patreon. I will see y'all in the next video. Y'all have a very blessed day. Bye.